I'm Karen Dynan. I'm Assistant Secretary for Economic Policy at the U.S. Treasury Department. I had co-authors, and we were originally studying the Great Moderation, which was the reduction in the volatility of the economy overall that occurred between the mid-1980s and the middle of the last decade. But we were struck by the contrast with that, by the contrast between that trend and a bunch of microeconomic evidence suggesting that volatility was rising when it came to individual workers or individual firms. So our research looked at how volatility was trending for households in the United States. We used the panel study on income dynamics, so we were looking at year-to-year fluctuations in income, and we were looking in particular to see how volatility had changed over time. And we found that indeed, volatility had risen from the late 1960s to the kind of middle to late part of the last decade by about 30%. I think you want to be looking at volatility at lots of frequencies. So I think you want to look at the annual frequency, but for many households, the volatility they have in their income month to month, even week to week, is just incredibly relevant because they don't have the assets to smooth fluctuations or the ability to borrow to smooth through fluctuations. So that volatility that's occurring in the very short run is very relevant for these households. I also think you want to look over the very long run, the volatility of income that can happen over the course of a household's lifetime, and whether they have the resources to smooth through that volatility. I think what I've been most struck by today is just the complexity of volatility. So there's income volatility, but it can come from so many different sources, whether it's your wages, or it's your labor earnings more generally because you have several jobs, whether it's volatility coming from other people in the household. There's also a whole dimension of volatility that has to do not with income, but rather with spending needs. So, people kind of wake up one day and they find their car won't start, which then kind of requires all this money, and like a shock to income, can induce hardship for a household.